Horrid Henry's homework. Thought Horrid Henry. He turned on the TV and stretched out. School was over. What could be better than lying on the sofa all afternoon, eating crisps and watching TV? Wasn't life grand? Then Mum came in. She did not look like a mum who thought life was grand. She looked like a mum on the warpath against boys who lay on sofas all afternoon, eating crisps and watching TV. "Get your feet off the sofa, Henry," said Mum. Grunted Henry. "Stop getting crisps everywhere," snapped Mum. Grunted Henry. "Have you done your homework, Henry?" said Mum. Henry didn't answer. "Henry!" shouted Mum. "What?" shouted Henry. "Have you done your homework?" "What homework?" said Henry. He kept his eyes glued to the TV. "Go, mutants!" he screeched. "The 5 spelling words you're meant to learn tonight," said Mum. "Oh," said Henry. "That homework." Horrid Henry hated homework. He had far better things to do with his precious time than learn how to spell zipper or work out the answer to 6 times 7. For weeks, Henry's homework sheets had ended up in the recycling box until Dad found them. Henry swore he had no idea how they got there and blamed Fluffy the cat. But since then, Mum and Dad had checked his school bag every day. Mum snatched the zapper and switched off the telly. "Hey, I'm watching," said Henry. "When are you going to do your homework, Henry?" said Mum. "Soon!" screamed Henry. He'd just returned from a long, hard day at school. Couldn't he have any peace around here? When he was king, anyone who said the word homework would get thrown to the crocodiles. "I had a phone call today from Miss Battleaxe," said Mum. "She said you got a 0 in the last 10 spelling tests." "That's not my fault," said Henry. "First I lost the words, then I forgot, then I couldn't read my writing, then I copied the words wrong, then—" "I don't want to hear any more silly excuses," said Mum. "Do you know your spelling words for tomorrow?" "Yes," lied Henry. "Where's the list?" Mum asked. "I don't know," said Henry. "Find it, or no TV for a month," said Mum. "It's not fair," muttered Henry, digging the crumpled spelling list out of his pocket. Mum looked at it. "There's going to be a test tomorrow," she said. "How do you spell goat?" "Don't you know how, Mum?" asked Henry. "Henry," said Mum. Henry scowled. "I'm busy," moaned Henry. "I promise I'll tell you right after Mutant Madman. It's my favourite show." "How do you spell goat?" said Mum. "G-O-T-E," snapped Henry. "Wrong," said Mum. "What about boat?" "Why do I have to do this?" wailed Henry. "Because it's your homework," said Mum. "You have to learn how to spell." "But why?" said Henry. "I never write letters." "Because," said Mum. "Now, spell boat." "B-O-T-T-E," said Henry. "No more TV until you do your homework," said Mum. "I've done all my homework," said Perfect Peter. "In fact, I enjoyed it so much, I've already done tomorrow's homework as well." Henry pounced on Peter. He was a cannibal, tenderizing his victim for the pot. "Yow!" screamed Peter. "Henry, go to your room," shouted Mum, "and don't come out until you know all your spelling words." Horrid Henry stomped upstairs and slammed his bedroom door. This was so unfair. He was far too busy to bother with stupid, boring, useless spelling. For instance, he hadn't read the new Mutant Madman comic book. He hadn't finished drawing that treasure map. And he hadn't even begun to sort his new collection of twizzle cards. Homework would have to wait. There was just one problem. Miss Battleaxe had said that everyone who spelled all their words correctly tomorrow would get a pack of Big Bopper sweets. Henry loved Big Bopper sweets. Mum and Dad hardly ever let him have them. But why on earth did he have to learn spelling words to get some? If he were the teacher, he'd only give sweets to children who couldn't spell. Henry sighed. He'd just have to sit down and learn those stupid words. 4:30. Mum burst into the room. Henry was lying on his bed, reading a comic. "Henry, why aren't you doing your homework?" said Mum. "I'll do it in a sec," said Henry. "I'm just finishing this page." "Henry," said Mum. Henry put down the comic. Mum left. Henry picked up the comic. 5:30. Dad burst into the room. Henry was playing with his knights. "Henry, why aren't you doing your homework?" said Dad. "I'm tired," yawned Henry. "I'm just taking a little break. It's hard having so much work." "Henry, you've only got 5 words to learn," said Dad. "And you've just spent 2 hours not learning them." "Right," snarled Henry. Slowly, he picked up his spelling list. Then he put it down again. He had to get in the mood. Soothing music, that's what he needed. Horrid Henry switched on his cassette player. The terrible sound of the Driller Cannibals boomed through the house. "Oh, I'm a cannibal!" screamed Henry, stomping around his room. "Don't call me an animal just 'cause I'm a cannibal!" Mum and Dad stormed into Henry's bedroom and turned off the music. "That's enough, Henry," said Dad. "Do your homework!" screamed Mum. "If you don't get every single word right in your test tomorrow, there will be no television for a week," shouted Dad. Eek. No TV and no sweets. This was too much. Horrid Henry looked at his spelling words with loathing. Goat. Boat. Said. Stoat. Friend. "I hate goats. I'll never need to spell the word goat in my life," said Henry. He hated goat's cheese. He hated goat's milk. He thought goats were smelly. That was one word he'd definitely never need to know. The next word was boat. Who needs to spell that? Thought Henry. I'm not going to be a sailor when I grow up. I get seasick. In fact, it's bad for my health to learn how to spell boat. As for said, what did it matter if he spelt it said, S-E-D? It was perfectly understandable written S-E-D. Only an old fusspot like Miss Battleaxe would mind such a tiny mistake. Then there was stoat. What on earth was a stoat? What a mean, sneaky word. Henry wouldn't know a stoat if it sat on him. Of all the useless, horrible words, stoat was the worst. Trust his teacher, Miss Battleaxe, to make him learn a horrible, useless word like stoat. The last word was friend. Well, a real friend like Rude Ralph didn't care how the word friend was spelt. As far as Henry was concerned, any friend who minded how he spelt friend was no friend. Miss Battleaxe included that word to torture him. 5 whole spelling words. It was too much. I'll never learn so many words, thought Henry. But what about tomorrow? He'd have to watch Moody Margaret and Jolly Josh and Clever Claire chomping away at those delicious big boppers, while he, Henry, had to gnash his empty teeth. Plus, no TV for a week. Henry couldn't live that long without TV. He was sunk. He was doomed to be sweetless and TV-less. But wait. What if there was a way to get those sweets without the horrid hassle of learning to spell? Suddenly, Henry had a brilliant, spectacular idea. It was so simple, Henry couldn't believe he'd never thought of it before. He sat next to clever Claire. Claire always knew the spelling words. All Henry had to do was to take a little peek at her work. If he positioned his chair right, he'd easily be able to see what she wrote, and he wouldn't be copying her. No way! Just double-checking. I am a genius, thought Horrid Henry. 100% right on the test. Loads of Big Bopper sweets. Mum and Dad would be so thrilled they'd let him watch extra TV. Hooray! Horrid Henry swaggered into class the next morning. He sat down in his seat between Clever Claire and Beefy Bert. Carefully, he inched his chair over a fraction so that he had a good view of Claire's paper. "Spelling test!" barked Miss Battleaxe. "First word! Doot!" Claire bent over her paper. Henry pretended he was staring at the wall. Then, quick as a flash, he glanced at her work and wrote G-O-A-T. "Boot!" said Miss Battleaxe. Again, Horrid Henry sneaked a look at Claire's paper and copied her. And again. And again. "This is fantastic," thought Henry. "I'll never have to learn any spelling words. Just think of all the comic books he could read instead of wasting his time on homework." He sneaked a peek at Beefy Bert's paper. Blank. "Ha ha," thought Henry. There was only one word left. Henry could taste the tingly tang of a Big Bopper already. Wouldn't he swagger about? And no way would he share his sweets with anyone. Suddenly, Claire shifted position and edged away from him. Rats! Henry couldn't see her paper anymore. "Last word!" boomed Miss Battleaxe. "Friend!" Henry twisted in his seat. He could see the first 4 words. He just needed to get a tiny bit closer. Claire looked at him. Henry stared at the ceiling. Claire glared, then looked back at her paper. Quickly, Henry leaned over and, yes! He copied down the final word. Friend. Victory! Chomp, chomp, chomp. Boy, did those Big Boppers taste great. Someone tapped him on the shoulder. It was Miss Battleaxe. She was smiling at him with her great big yellow teeth. Miss Battleaxe had never smiled at Henry before. "Well, Henry," said Miss Battleaxe, "what an improvement! I'm thrilled." "Thank you," said Henry modestly. "In fact, you've done so well, I'm promoting you to the top spelling group. 25 extra words a night. Here's the list." Horrid Henry's jaws stopped chomping. He looked in horror at the new spelling list. It was littered with words, but not just any words. Awful words, mean words, long words, hard words, hieroglyphs, trapezium, diarrhea. "Ah!" shrieked Horrid Henry.